A by-election has been called in the Vancouver-Quilchena riding after former Liberal Party of BC leader Andrew Wilkinson has left an MLA spot up for grabs. Standing beside me is Miss Dallas Brodie, who is the Conservative Party of BC's candidate for the race. Thanks for being on Rebel News.
Thank you, Drea, for having me, and I appreciate it. So I'm running in this election, and I want to point out right at the start that I'm actually the only candidate who was actually born in this riding, grew up in this riding, went to elementary and high school here, and I still live here, and I have a small business in the riding. I have a small ladies clothing boutique that I'm just getting ready to reopen in the fall.
Well, we'll find out more about Miss Brodie in this report. But first, if you want to find out the latest on more leadership races, including the federal Conservatives, you can head to our special website called leadershipreports.ca. And you can also chip in a few bucks to help us cover the costs to bring you those reports. All right, so Dallas, let everybody know what your experience is with politics today.
So my experience is really just that I had formed a group in the summer of 20 called Save Our City. And that was my first effort to get some people together to get into the media and talk about our concerns about what was happening in the city. There's a lot of crime downtown now. The city's looking dirty. There's a lot of open drug use, a lot of people just on the streets, and safety has become a really big concern downtown.
Absolutely. I know we've covered some of the encampments and things like that. What would be your approach to handling those in Vancouver?
We said that, 30 years ago, we were promised a 4-pillar approach to solving the problems of homelessness and drug addiction in the downtown east side. And really, we only got 1 pillar through the years. We have constantly harm reduction, but we were promised prevention, treatment, and enforcement. And our group, Save Our City, really felt that we had to have all 4 legs of the chair. Otherwise, it's tipping over.
Now, a lot of people are starting to be more involved with politics in Canada, especially over the last 2 years. And a lot of focus is on the federal politicians. Here we are talking about a provincial race. And in British Columbia, we have this strange dynamic of who are the Conservatives? Are they the Conservative Party of British Columbia, or are they the BC Liberals? So what's your take on the dynamic of that?
Okay, so it's been an interesting thing. Really, the BC Liberal Party became the centre-right party. The centre-right party in British Columbia used to be the SoCred Party, the Social Credit Party of British Columbia. But they were wiped out at one point by the Liberals, and then the Liberals have been our sort of free enterprise, the party that's supposed to give us lower taxation and represent sort of that side of things. And as time's gone by, from my perspective, I've worked on BC Liberal campaigns because I am a Conservative, and they've changed.
Linda, nice to meet you.
Should never vote for you because
You don't have to.
Yeah.
That's why we live in a democracy.
Yeah, thank goodness. Hopefully you won't get elected in.
They've moved farther and further left, and now I can barely distinguish between them and the NDP to such a degree that at the last election, province-wide, I didn't even vote. And I've never done that before. I didn't know the Liberals don't represent me anymore, and I haven't changed. They have. And I don't like that. They seem to be becoming these squish people in the middle, and nobody's really talking about the things that matter a lot to me for my life and the future of my kids when it comes to taxation, balanced budgets, inflation, overtaxation, government being in our lives in every way to Sunday now. And I really wonder, are those issues just too boring now? But those are really important to Conservatives, very important.
Now, on one of your recent campaign videos, you said that the current leader of the BC Liberals, Kevin Falcon, is the same side of the Liberal coin as Justin Trudeau.
He wants you to believe the BC Liberals are a big tent coalition party, despite openly rebuking his MLAs for supporting Conservative frontrunner Pierre Poilievre. The truth is, Kevin Falcon is a Liberal, no different from his federal counterpart. Kevin Falcon and Justin Trudeau are 2 sides of the same Liberal coin.
Can you explain that a bit?
Yes, I would say that he is not really representing a conservative viewpoint. He is very, very similar to the federal Liberals, and that's what I think they are. And I think that can be shown even recently. One of the cabinet ministers, Mike de Jong, said that he was in support and thought that what Pierre Poilievre doing federally is really excellent. And publicly, Kevin Falcon reprimanded him and said, "You can't say that. We are not going to say how we feel about the federal Conservative Party, the federal Liberal Party, but truly, if someone had come out and said something probably about Justin Trudeau and being on his side, I doubt they would have been reprimanded."
The cost of housing is insane in Vancouver. We did a recent report at UBC. A lot of the students there were really concerned about whether or not they'd be able to afford a home. What would be your solution as far as on a provincial level to help out there?
Okay, so this is a huge concern of mine because when I was 27, I was able to buy my first condo in Vancouver. And, I had just finished my articling year as a lawyer, and I went out and I was able to get a mortgage and get going. I think one of the things we need to do is, it's a complicated issue, no doubt, but if I were to say the first thing I would do is get the taxes down. Tell these kids that they can build a nest egg early on in their lives and reduce the taxation on them dramatically during those growth years. No one even talks about an idea like that. And I've often thought, why don't we give these kids a huge tax break during their 20s and encourage them to start building that nest egg for their first home purchase? That would be a good start, and it would give them some hope. Because really, by the time you're 30, you want to own something. And that's really important. And also the property taxation, I know it's not a provincial issue, but it has to be discussed because it's making development really expensive. Land costs have gone up and up. I mean, it's very difficult to block all foreign investment in Vancouver. So we've got to really get creative. And I think that if we really put a business mindset to this and sat down and said, how are we going to get these young people engaged and allowing them to get a stake in the community, because that's what they need. Mm-hmm. They've got to have some skin in the game if they're going to even care. And I want them to have that. I feel bad for them. And they're getting depressed because they're never going to have something. And they shouldn't have to leave the city. I don't want to see everybody having to leave. All the young people leaving, we don't want that. We really don't. So it's complicated, but I would start by giving some major tax breaks. Maybe remove the property purchase tax from those first purchases. That's a biggie. And we can do things like that.
Over the last 2 years, life with COVID has definitely put a strain on civil liberties in Canada. We saw hundreds of thousands of people make their way to Ottawa. In British Columbia, when you look at medical freedom, we have thousands of frontline healthcare workers who are off work or terminated for not getting the COVID-19 vaccine. And we have the NDP government spending $12 million to fast track foreign nurses to come in and work to address our healthcare situation. What do you think of that? And what is your approach as a candidate if you became the MLA as to civil liberties in BC?
If I were to become the MLA, I would, first of all, our party is completely opposed to mandates of any sort. Mandates at work, mandates at schools. This needs to be a matter of personal choice and medical privacy. We also are opposed to any more of these lockdowns. This has been a huge damage to society in general. They are now finding out that the harm that's been done as a result of lockdowns and mandates has been dramatic. It's been depression, it's been suicide attempts.
Kids are not rising to the level of priority that they need to be, and it's putting their very survival into jeopardy.
In a new report, Top 10 Threats to Childhood in Canada, the group says child abuse, poor mental health, poverty, and infant mortality all increased over the past year, and little has been done to address it.
Children's lives being really impacted by being locked down and being forced to wear masks, all these things. So our party we are all for choice. If you want to get a vaccine, absolutely, you get your vaccine. If you feel that medically you're not able to or you're just not inclined to, you should be able to make that choice. We're very clear about that. We're not anti anything. We're anti-mandate and we're and pro personal choice about all of this.
All right. Last words. Voting will be on April 30th. Let people know where they can go to find out more about you, and any last words you'd like to say to, try to get confidence from the public.
Okay. Well, I would say that our party is going to be a true conservative party. I would be a true conservative in the true sense of that. I wouldn't be a squish conservative. I would be there saying we want lower taxes. We want to get rid of the carbon tax, get rid of the speculation tax. We want to introduce a private option in the universal medical care system we have here. And we want to also give parents a chance to have more of a say in what their kids are being taught in school. That's extremely important to a lot of parents right now. And also just getting back to getting the government less in our lives. I feel, and I think a lot of people feel, that the government is now telling us so much of what we have to do, what we should say, what we should think, how we should feel about things. And it's affecting people. And we need to get the government to recede from our lives and get back to privacy, personal freedom, and these kinds of things. And if you want to get more information about our party, you can go to the website and you can read up more on it. And I think that we would be a really fresh change to go to Victoria. And I'm a fighter, so if I get over there, I'll definitely be a loud voice, and it'll get spicy. If I'm there, for sure, I'll have fun, and I will definitely not be quiet.
All right, there you have it, Miss Dallas Brodie. You can also find out more about her on the written article for this report, which is linked in the description below, and more on the latest with leadership races in Canada at leadershipreports.ca.